Hello, this is a Photoshop tutorial video and this is for beginners. So if you've never used Photoshop before, I'll just be introducing the different tools and everything that you can be using. So if you're already familiar with Photoshop, then a lot of these things might seem basic and you're probably it won't be as interesting to you because it's just for the basics, like when you're first starting Photoshop. So I've just opened it right now and this is my screen because I've drawn stuff before, but if you're first coming, then you're probably not going to have anything here. So you could click Create New, or you could go to File and New, and it'll bring you to the same thing. Here is when you're creating a new document. Yours will probably just have one option, and it'll say default Photoshop size or something. But I've got multiple ones here because I've used them before. I usually go to art and illustration because I'm more of a digital drawer, and I'm gonna go to the 1000 pixel grid because it's just a square and it's the most basic one. Alright, now here there's all these different symbols and tools which when you look at them they seem all complicated and you probably have no idea what you're doing, but don't worry, it's not that bad. This is your layers panel right here. And this is really important because it's where you keep your different layers, and most people when they use Photoshop they use multiple layers. If you use just one layer then it's possible, but usually you use more than one. So I'm just gonna quickly, oh, what is this? Draw something. Alright, that's a mess, but it's okay. So now I can show you guys what different things do. Alright, this is the move tool. Oh, it's called the move tool. And it's where you can use it to move stuff around. So if you drag in an image, you could move around the image with the move tool, or move around something within a layer. I'm moving around everything in one layer, but if you had multiple layers, it would only move what was in the one layer. Another thing that's useful is the lasso tool because you can use it to select certain things without selecting the whole layer. If I only want to move one part of it, then I would just select over that one part and then I could move it without moving the other parts. So if I want to just change something around, I can do so. And there's a lot that are mostly just used for photo editing, and if you're interested in that, then I might make another video, but this is just for the really basics, just so you get what's going on. This is the eyedropper tool, which is useful for selecting different colors, whichever colors. There's only 2 colors here right now, but you get the idea. Now, to deselect, you just go Command D, and it'll unselect what you selected. Here is the brush tool. It is used most often with digital artists because you need it to draw stuff, obviously. And there's a bunch of different options. There's so many of them you could try using. They all do different things, and if you scroll down you'll see there's a lot there. So you could always just test them out one time. Just try a bunch of different brush strokes, see what works for you. I usually use the hard round pressure size because with the drawing tablet I use, it's good for different pressure sensitivity and stuff. But if you're using a mouse, it won't really work. It'll just look like the hard round tool. So similarly with the brush tool, there's also the eraser tool, which has the same options. And I'm just gonna erase all of these lines that I just made. Here is the paint bucket tool. The paint bucket tool is another really good one to use because it allows you to fill a space without having to color it by hand with your paintbrush. So there I just colored in the little characters thing, and there's the background, And you could just sort of like use whatever colors. This is your color tool here. It's a paint palette, so it's sort of, you could easily tell what it is. And there you could just scroll up and down, and there's basically like every possible color you could imagine you could be made here. And this is the smudge tool, so like if you want to smudge stuff, you can do that. Oh, if you click Command Z, it'll undo what you did. You could also use the mixer brush tool, which is sort of like mixes around different colors, which is good for shading. I often use the mixer brush tool if I'm shading stuff. And there's lots of different like settings you can have the mixer brush tool, because like there's so many different ways you could blend stuff. And here is the text tool. Here's another one that I use a lot, where you can just add any sort of text. This one I like use for my thumbnails and videos and stuff. Alright, and here's the shape tool. There's a rectangle, ellipse, polygonal tool, line tool, where you could make shapes easily without having to just draw them by hand. Here is the move hand tool, and it's where you could move things. So if I were to zoom in with this magnifying glass as the zoom tool, then I could use the hand tool to move around. And the magnifying tool is good for getting like small details, and you can always zoom out and zoom back in easily. And those are, I guess, are the basic symbols you would need. Now here on my layer, I just named it sketch layer, even though it's not even a sketch layer, it's just a person. There's like an eye symbol next to it. If you click that eye symbol, it'll make the layer disappear. But it's not gone. You can just click it again and it'll be back. However, if you delete it, then it'll be gone forever. Unless you go to edit and then undo delete layer, and then it'll be back again. You could also go to your history if you want to see what you've done previously and like revive whatever you did if you want to go back a lot. Alright, I think that's about it for just the really basics. Oh, and then if you want to save it, you would just go to File, Save, and you could save it as whatever you want and wherever you want to keep it. And it'll be saving as Photoshop, which it's always good to save it as Photoshop. However, if you're like want to upload the image into something, it's usually best to save as and then do JPEG. Or you could do PNG or whatever. There's lots of different options, but I always do an extra JPEG, and that's because JPEGs you can upload into anything, unlike the PSD you can't. So then you would save it there if you wanted to, and you just click OK, but I don't need to save it, so I'm not going to right now. So I think that's it. If you have any questions, let me know, because I've been using Photoshop for quite a while now, even though it looks pretty like I don't know anything. It's just because I'm bad at explaining. But I wanted to try helping people, even though I'm sort of failing. So ask me any questions and I'd be happy to answer. And I'll also make more detailed tutorials later about how I do my digital drawing and maybe some photo editing too. This was just the basics for when you first get Photoshop and you have no idea what you're doing, like I did when I first had it. I hope that this video was at least somewhat helpful for you guys. I mean, probably wasn't, but I can hope. Have an amazing day. Bye!